KWT slaying.
Well, family, the wait is over. The moment has arrived where truth emerges triumphant from the shadows of history. Introducing the true Jerusalem, the lost kingdoms of the Israelites, the groundbreaking work by me, Yeshua Vale, a journey into the past that reshapes the future. I cut through centuries of misconceptions with piercing clarity. This book delivers a compelling case packed with evidence that commands attention and gonna get some respect. Come with me for a second, family, and discover how these thrilling civilizations flourished, protected by towering highlands and sustained by advanced engineering. Some have asked, where is Jerusalem? Is it the land in the Middle East? I say no. It is in the highlands of Ethiopia. With hours of groundbreaking research, this book brings in a new revelation, and it will transform your understanding of African history and its connections to the ancient world. It's going to remove from your mind the conditioning by the Romans of what has really happened to our past. Come with me, family, to the Ethiopian highlands and find out why this is our land. Why things have been hidden and obfuscated for centuries. We are royalty, children of the Most High. What kind of land do you expect us to have? Dried up dirt in the Middle East, or land flowing with rivers? A land full of beautiful animals flowing with milk and honey. Don't miss out on this monumental unveiling. Grab your copy today and stand on the side of truth. Visit Amazon.com or www.tailministries.com to purchase your book and join Yeshua Vale's teachings on Tail Ministries. Family, your journey to hidden history has now begun. So family, get your copy of True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites today. Journey to the heart of Africa, where history and legend converge to reveal the forgotten kingdoms of the Israelites and the true location of Jerusalem. Salam, my family. Salam, how y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. So, just let y'all know, Minister Teo book is going to be coming out in a few days. So, get ready, get ready, get ready. And also, we're going to talk. I'm going to show a part of a video because we need to talk about what's going on and why we're going into the wilderness. Now, I have a problem. What is that problem, Yakoba? The problem I have is people who keep trying to contact me and tell me, well, Yakoba, I disagree with your, teaching that we got to flee. Okay, fine. That's good. You have that right to do that. I'm not trying to convince you. Right? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm here to teach. So please don't come and tell me you disagree with me when, to be honest with you, you're about to find out real soon. So in the previous show that I did on Friday, I talked about, the executive order that was submitted by Trump to suppress, the Smithsonian Institute and their wokeism, right? and also to suppress the African American Museum, which deals with slavery, which deals with wokeism, right? As you all know, wokeism is a code word for black, African American, Negroes. And a lot of people seem to not understand. And I've talked about this for a long time. And I've talked about this before it became obvious. Is that they're going to push you up. And that's what they're doing. Y'all just don't get it. So even, recently, Pete Hegseth, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Pete Hegseth, removed Colin Powell's name from a list of notable Americans buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Hegseth also removed the names of every person of color and every woman on the same list. Only white men were left in place. So my question to you is, family, they're removing everything that has to do with us. What do you think the final removal going to be? I'm just asking, what are you expecting? You're expecting to be able to sit here, kick up your feet, and get a job? Well, they're removing all the jobs from the federal government, which is the largest employer of not just Israelites or Negroes or African Americans, but the largest employer probably of the world. What's your backup plan? It's a little frustrating when I hear people, they come up with these like off the cuff scriptures out of context with, well, I believe this. Well, I believe that. Well, the Bible's pretty clear. But I notice an issue is that some people have a problem with reading the scriptures that they don't like fleeing. Now, the thing is, and this is what this particular teaching today is going to be about, and we're going to look at a video first because he makes some good points. And what we're going to talk about is that wilderness experience, because here's the thing. A lot of people have this romanticized idea of the Exodus. Everything going to be hunky-dory. We're going to be walking on puffy clouds and eating the freshest of fruit and drinking from the cleanest of water and not having to worry about a thing because we finally left Babylon. That's what some people think. Well, as far as the yellow fever vaccine, that's Ghana. I'm not going to Ghana. I'm not going to any place that requires me to get that, right? I'm not. That's just me. That's their requirement. I'm not going there. That's my prerogative. I'm not going to do it. And then the other place, that's just me. That's how I'm rolling. But understand this, that Africa is not going to be a panacea. And we're going to talk about that. But Yakoba, you said we got to flee, and you said we got to go back to Africa. Yeah, that's what the Bible says. From the place you were taken from, Jeremiah 29:14. Go read it for yourself. Go read Jeremiah 50 that tells you to go back to Zion. Some of y'all still think Zion in the Middle East. Well, you go back to the Middle East, right? Zion is in Africa. But we don't have no time, like I mentioned in the other show, and it gets a bit obvious every day. And everybody has a system of government, a culture. And you got to understand, just as our ancestors left Egypt, and the Most High had to wash Egypt out of their soul and out of their mind, He going to have to do the same thing to us, because we got a lot of people in Israel who got a lot of Babylon in their minds and in their hearts. And that's going to take a little bit. But I want to share this video because we're going to talk about some of this. And I'm going to explain why we'll get to it. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So this is Mark from Africa. All right, I'm gonna start at the 9:44 mark. Y'all want y'all to listen to what he got to say.
And the next one was darn near impossible. The amount of corruption and bribery needed just to register a business. We're talking $10,000 land surveys for 5 acres. We're talking $6,000 business registration processes. And again, these may not sound like big numbers to some people, but keep in mind, a lot of people weren't going over there with gigantic budgets. These are people's savings, or maybe they're working some online job, or maybe they, were doing something else. But a lot of them, or some of them, were actually coming and going. So I knew some families that were coming, and they'd stay for a few months, and then they'd go work in America, and then come back and go, and come back and go. And that was a pretty cool strategy. But everyone had these different strategies. And what happened was it became so ridiculous. And again, I've talked to so many people who have the same problem. There's videos on it, there's people talking about it. I think we get a little harsh and maybe even emotional when we discuss it, and it kind of makes some people roll their eyes at it. But the truth still stands that there was an intentional system of corruption in place that prevented any legitimate business for a time from being done. It was sad, and it's still sad, but I fell into the trap, just to get to the point of the video, of thinking that it was, my job to stay and push and push and push and push against something that was done. And I poured more time and more energy and more resources into projects that were not going to succeed at that point, because the power dynamic in the country had shifted, the mindset had shifted. You look at what some of the people were saying on the streets where it really matters, and they were saying, oh my gosh, this new leader is going to endorse and enforce corruption. They're all for it. They agree with it. Not saying the last one didn't do it, but take it up to another level with this new one. And the sad thing is, some people were happy. They were agreeing with it. They were finally free to be how they were. So when you went into government offices, there was a very different energy. There was this, I'm going to cheat you and you're going to like it energy. And we all felt it, and you couldn't say anything about it. It was nothing was going to get done. Now, some people made it work. Some people couldn't make it work. A lot of people couldn't make it work. Unfortunately, they didn't say the right words or do the right dance or, coddle the right image. Ego, I guess, is the right word. And so they didn't get what they needed to get done. I, unfortunately, I'll say I started with, trying to play that game. And I got a lesson in that. And the lesson in that was, even if you play the game, if someone doesn't want to, they won't. And unfortunately, there was a lot going on in those offices. I've gotten into trouble in those offices for calling out certain things, calling out corruption. I've been in trouble for that. I don't know if some.
So I'm going to pause it right there. So one of the things I used to ask myself is like, why all of the people on the continent never talking about the bad things on the continent? Obviously, everything isn't good, right? How come everything got to be, rose-colored glasses and joy, everybody getting along stuff, but we don't hear none of the negatives? I believe that the reason that is because if you talk against those governments, you can end up in prison, you can end up in jail, or you could get kicked out of the country, right? It's not America. And so when we look at, as he was saying, right, he got in trouble for calling out corruption. It's the same thing when it comes to, being honest about everything you see, right? You got to know the culture and the traditions and what the laws are. So, Mark has said he been in jail like 6 times. And one of the reasons he went to jail was because he had an employee that he fired and they put him in jail for it. So I'm just saying, these are the type of things that you got to be prepared for. And so one of the things that, and the reason why I told y'all it's been taking me so long, because I've been planning or trying to plan how I'm going to survive on the continent, how I'm going to have an income, all of these types of things, right? Because you can't just go there without a plan, right? Now, we're going to be forced. We're probably going to be forced without a plan. I mean, the way things are going right now, but at least I was trying to make a plan. I'm still trying to make a plan, but we don't have long, in my opinion. And so, me and a few others have been dealing with some potential business prospects on the continent. And it takes a while, right? It don't work the same way that America does, and things are slower. And a lot of these governments don't have, let's say, a capitalist system in place where, at least in America, they had a system in place where everybody could get a job for the most part, right? And they had cushions, Social Security, unemployment, stuff like that. You don't have that on the continent. A lot of these countries don't have a means for you to move up into like the middle class or upper middle class, things like that. It's difficult to build businesses. They don't trust us. They don't know us. But yet the Indians can come in and the Chinese can come in. They can do business and do well. Well, what's the difference there? Well, the Indians got support from India. The Chinese have support from China. Negroes from America and, in the diaspora, for the most part, don't have anybody to help them out, right? So you got to keep that in mind. So when we end up in the wilderness, don't have these rose-colored glasses on. And we're going to look at some scriptures and stuff and see why, hey, a lot of people don't get it, right? A lot of people are failing to grasp the reality of what the wilderness is going to be.
Some of you who know me know that I've been in a Tanzanian jail 3 times because of certain things. One was firing.
Okay, 3 times. I thought it was 6, but hey, there you go.
Somebody who didn't want to work. Another one was calling. Oh man, you just can't call out corruption. You got to act like it doesn't exist and play some mind game. And that's not how some people operate. That's compromising, and I'm not saying go to the rooftops and say, this is corruption, but it's a fine line and it's a tiptoe eggshell sort of dance you have to do there. And I don't think a lot of people want to do that, especially a lot of older folks going over there. Some of them were just there and they were retiring, and that's okay. So they didn't run into too many issues, but eventually they ran into certain issues that they didn't think they'd have to deal with, right? Again, old, young, family, single, everyone was having similar issues. And you can go and look up horror stories, not just in Tanzania, funny enough. Ghana was having a lot of issues with the government. And Gambia was having a lot of issues, I think, with the people there. It was a very strong opposition. But I say all that to get back on point, which is I think we stayed longer than we needed to. A lot of people. I knew people that were there. They weren't trying to do business. They weren't trying to do anything significant in that way. And they felt the burden of being there. And they knew that the ancestors or God or the universe, because each one kind of had a different belief, they knew they were called there. I knew I was called there. And I somehow also knew when it was time to go. And the mistake I made is I did not listen to that feeling. The feeling that said, you don't have to stay in a place that treats you like this. You don't have to be in this environment that you can choose to walk away from. You don't have to stay in this wilderness. Funny enough, Tanzania used to be called Tanganyika. And if you Google what that word means, it actually means the wilderness or the arid plain. It means both of those things. And so that was a sign for me to go, and a lot of other people too. And I think we stayed longer than we should have. We said, no, we'll just push through it. We'll just keep on persevering. And there comes a time where we're striving at some point, and we didn't leave when we were supposed to. So my big mistake was I stayed, and I decided if I could just pull more resources into this, if I could just go further with it, if I could just make it happen, even if it's by force, then it'll all be okay. And that wasn't true. That wasn't what I was supposed to do. I made the mistake of feeling obligated to something that no longer had the favor of God on it. And unfortunately, many others made the same mistake in their own way. I can only speak from how I made it, because I know it now after reflecting on it and wondering why. And the lesson was, don't stay in certain places. That if it could be this place, it could be the next place. It doesn't have to be one place. It could be anywhere. If you're led to go, then go. And if you're led to leave, then leave. There's so many people that suffered because they stayed there. And there's so many people that are suffering because they're staying there. I just got a message from someone the other day, and it was a request of some sort to help with the process of transferring documents from the last company that I had registered in Tanzania into the new company that all the assets were transferred over to, into their company. And again, I'm still kind of trying to piece together what all that means, because I don't know what the lawyers have done and didn't do. But to give some context to the people who know and watch this channel, we had a business that was trying to bring people over and take care of them when they were there and build a community and have a land and housing project. And it didn't really flourish the way we wanted it to. Unfortunately, the obstacles were just too much to overcome, and the barriers were just they were there, and they weren't barriers that we were supposed to overcome. I think they were barriers to say this isn't the right way. And so when everything went the way it went, and I finally made the personal decision, and really from a business standpoint, I had to make this decision as well. And it was basically, I can't continue doing this. I have to pack it up and leave. I got to shut this business down. I have to finish it off and do what I do. And I gave the lawyer that we were using at the time the list of instructions on what to do, signed everything, all this stuff, thinking this is done. He'll inform the people and make all the necessary legal arrangements to close this off nicely. I find out just a few days ago that those things that were supposed to be done were not done. I mean, this has been months now. It's been over 4 months now, and none of it was done. Not a single bit of it. Not even the lawyer did the right thing. And this was with the oversight of all these people that were involved. And again, I have to, before I say too much, I have to find out more. But I believe that a lot of the people that were involved with the company I had set up are now involved in this new company that all the documents are supposed to be transferred over to. And I don't think the lawyer did anything. I don't think the government offices did anything, and yet they want to be paid all the time. This is the sad reality of doing business in many African countries. And I'm not going to say it's just Africa, because it happens all over the world, but the problem there is there's little to no accountability. You can't just say, this is wrong, I'm going to report you to the Anti-Corruption Bureau. The Anti-Corruption Bureau's website says that if you record corruption, that's a crime. If you, it's so ridiculous that you would think it's intentional, and it is.
So if you record corruption, it is a crime. And as he said, if you think it's intentional, it is. It is intentional because a lot of these leaders, right, they are part of the cabal, right? Not that they're of the upper echelon, but they're low level management, right? And so the Most High is making changes on the continent through people like Ibrahim Trail, right? But you have a lot of other people who we call raccoons, right, who work for the system. So everywhere you go, you're going to have, remnants of Babylon and remnants of Babylon's ways and culture and immorality. So we got to understand that as these things happen and as, America change, don't think that when you go back, it's going to be this rose colored glasses. It's not.
And just being honest with you, that's what it seems like. None of us are that big a fool that we believe everything we're told. And there were some people who at first took everything in Africa as a good thing. Because it's not America, that means the food is cleaner. And because it's not America, that means the air is better. And because it's not America, that means the water is not poisonous. And because it's not America, that means it's better. They were so mad at America that they blindly loved this new place they were in, only to find.
Now that's true, is a blind love without doing research, looking what country you're going to, right? What kind of system you're going to be under, right? That everybody has clean water. Well, we know parts of Ghana don't have clean water, right? Because they allow, the gold miners to poison some of their rivers. Same thing with many other countries. So that's why I say you have to use wisdom. You have to use common sense. And, this whole thing of us, just sending thousands and thousands of dollars to the continent without you being a part of it, without you flying there, looking at the land, making business deals like you would in the U.S. is a huge mistake, right? But I would say this, that you have to make preparation. And, we'll talk about that a little bit, because normalcy bias is what everybody has. We all have normalcy bias. Everything is fine, is going to remain fine. But the problem is, and it just boggles my mind that people don't see that. And I've been saying this for years now, that we're the targets. And you can see it today with Donald Trump and what he's doing. We're the targets. And if you know we're the targets, then what's your plan? Oh, well, I'm waiting for the Most High. Well, you're going to find out today that there's some common sense stuff and obedience that the Most High has already told you that you have to do. And if you don't, you're going to suffer the consequences.
Find out. Some of them found out in weeks, some of them in months, and some of them in years, that Africa had the same ugliness that every place in the world has. There's good and bad in every place, and Africa is no different. You might see more of it in some places and at different levels. I think in the States, a lot of the corruption happens high up enough that most normal people don't notice it. It's real subtle. And in a lot of developing places, like most of many countries in Africa, there's an obvious corruption. It's very obvious. It's on the streets. It's in the shops. It's low enough that you can see it and feel it, hear it, and deal with it on a daily basis. And that wears you out in a different way. And so I say all this to say, you don't have to stay in that place. If you're still in Tanzania or Kenya or Ghana or South Africa or the Gambia or wherever else people are going to in large numbers, because those are the ones that I knew people were going to in pretty big groups. A lot of traffic to those places. And again, I'm talking people that wanted to live in Africa, not just people visiting, people that were looking to pack up and move. And I just want to say to those people, you can leave if you really do feel stuck, because that's one of the, devil, the enemy, the shadow of the world, whatever you call them. That's one of the traps, is to get you stagnant and stuck and thinking, oh, that I just have to wait for the thing to happen. But that thing will never happen, because I waited and waited and waited and waited and waited for this business and for certain things to come into place and for certain processes to complete. To this day, they're still not complete. Why? Because they're not supposed to be. If I could do it and it still not get complete, if a 50-year-old can do it and it still not be complete, if some retired people can do it and it still not be complete, if couples can do it and it still not be complete, sorry. If, all these people can try and try and try and it's still not getting done, maybe it's not meant to be done. If a group can walk into an office and it still doesn't get done, I'm sorry to say it, there's only so much a person can do. Staying there would be such a ridiculous.
So one of the things Mark talks about also is tribalism, and how a lot of these people, when they con you, they're doing it in groups as a tribe. Whereas because we grew up in Babylon, we move as individuals. So because we move as individuals, we have no power and we get taken advantage of. And this is one of the reasons, you have Q2UA and things like that was trying to build this collective of diaspora, right? Especially those here in America, but, around the world, to come together to be able to move as a group, right? As a tribe. And this is what we have to relearn. These are the things that's going to be forced upon us in the wilderness. This individualism is going to be broken, right? It's going to be broken, and it's not going to be nice, and it's not going to be easy, because our whole mindset is based upon capitalism and, what we call democracy, one man, one vote. No, in Africa, it's not that way. It's not going to be that way. And if anybody comes against you, it's usually going to be a group. It ain't going to be one. I mean, it could be one, but for the most part, whether they're for you or against you, is going to be as a group. And we're going to have to learn how to move as a group. Whether or not you agree with the whole, what you call flea doctrine. Well, you're wrong about flea doctrine. That's your business, not mine. I'm making preparation. As a matter of fact, I've been telling my family about all of this for years, so many years, even before the awakening, and they wouldn't hear me. But guess what? At the very least right now, guess what? They starting to get their passports because they could see what's happening. Some of y'all don't get it, and some of y'all not going to get it. And some of y'all going to be here and y'all going to reap the benefits of your decision.
Ridiculous move. Now, am I saying I'm done forever? No, but I'm not going to wait around idly while people and processes take their time intentionally at that. I know how the corruption works in East Africa. I can't speak for the rest of the continent, but I've been on a few sides of it. Not the one doing it, but I've seen it from a few different angles, talked to people about it, and I think I've got a decent enough understanding of how it works, and a lot of it is intentional. It's fully intentional. It's personally motivated. It's based on some sort of prejudice.
So Sassy Francis say Mark is a scammer. Maybe. I mean, I've heard things too. I can't answer that. I don't know. I haven't done business with the guy. Point being is what he's saying today is legit, right? So
it's a lot of it is unspoken, and it's sad. It really is. But I don't have the energy to put into that and waste the gifts and talents that I'm supposed to be planting, right? In some way, the gift of joy and peace and love and all these things that are just stagnant in such places that don't receive them well. And I had to make the choice, stay and suffer, or go and do the next thing, knowing that eventually you can make amends for what didn't come to fruition in one place and do it in another place, or do it at another time, or with the right people this time. And so I'm not done doing business.
So this is the type of thing that ticks me off about some of our people that, you know, like I say, I wasn't in the midst. I don't know what the business deal was between Sassy and Oral and Mark, but I'd have to say, when it comes down to giving people your money, you should never do that. You should handle business as you would in the States. If you ever want to buy property or do anything on the continent, you should do business yourself. You should go down there. You should get to know the people. You should get to know the laws, get to know the government. You should evaluate the property and the land. You should be able to find out if that land really truly belongs to someone or not. If you can purchase that land, is it free? Is it freeload or whatever, right? You'd have to find these things out for yourself. Because there is a lot of scammers out there. And here's the thing. When you first awaken to be an Israelite, it's a euphoric moment, right? And you think everybody's like you. You think everybody loves the Most High, right? And they don't, right? I mean, just like, what happened with Sakari and them, right? All that foolishness. They talk a good game. I don't believe in any camp that's really following the Most High. I believe they're cults. But the whole thing is, a lot of people thought they were righteous dudes, right? And then you find out what they've done and, Gorilla and all of them. I'm like, that's foolishness, right? And so you cannot lose your common sense. And people have to earn trust. They have to earn your trust. You can't just blindly trust somebody because they say they're Israel. You can't blindly trust somebody because they say they're looking out for your best interest. You can't just blindly trust somebody on the continent who says, I'm trying to build a community for you. No, they're trying to build a community for themselves, and they're trying to get money for themselves. And unless you're a part of it, unless you're in the midst of it and have some influence in it, I say don't do it. And see, this is why if you have something that, you've been a part of, you learn about the people and the structure and the rules and the laws and have some kind of protections within the laws, both here in the States and on the continent, you best think twice. See, we got to stop getting emotional because we woke up and found out we all family and we God's chosen, Father Yah's chosen. But then everybody not born again. Obviously. See, everybody's not born again. You might be, but they're not, right? You might have love for the brethren, but they don't. They won't use you, right? So I don't know about all the particulars. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not accusing nobody. I'm just saying you got to be careful, right? So
business. I'm not done doing things in Africa, and I'm not done dealing with East Africa or Tanzania or any specific country or person. I just know that I and many others need to move, and it doesn't have to be a physical movement. I mean, move on mentally, emotionally, sometimes physically. And that's what we have to do. For the sake of your peace, for the sake of your joy, for the sake of the love in your heart, leave that place. Because you who are staying, and I know some people that are staying because, number one, they feel stuck, stagnant. Some people are staying because they're just waiting for this thing to play out, but they're in a loop. Every day they suffer. They don't want to go outside. They don't want to walk the streets. They don't want to walk the markets. They're getting all these vicious looks, and that's because their spiritual discernment has become sharper. That's the whole point of the wilderness, is to sharpen your senses. It's to increase you. It's to refine you. But you don't stay in it. It's a transitional place, and that's what it was for me. And so I regret staying as long as I did. Do I regret going? No. I enjoyed it, especially the first 2 years. It was incredible. But sometimes we just have to, some people say trust your gut, your intuition, or whatever. That's what it kind of came down to, I think, is that it just did not feel right. And the
All right, so I'm not going to go through the rest of it. Y'all could go watch it. But you got to understand that when you're dealing with change, right, you got to be prepared for you changing, right? Because we go there and we be like, hey, I get to be around the family. I get to be around the brethren, and it's going to be all love, love, and kisses, kisses. And it's not, right? It's not. But at the same time, we have to let the scriptures be our guide. We have to let the scriptures tell us what and what not to do. So like, for instance, and I'm going to keep saying it because I'm a Bible believing man. I believe the scriptures. I believe Torah. I believe Apocrypha and some of the pseudepigrapha. But a lot of people want to ignore the scriptures. They want to ignore the scriptures. But as I was saying in the beginning of this show, the wilderness, when we go into the wilderness, is not the same as the second Exodus that we see, at least in Isaiah 60, that we see in Isaiah 11. And as I've always tried to tell you, that things are different, right? They're similar, but they're different, right? So people say, well, I'm waiting for the gathering. I'm waiting for the second Exodus. I'm waiting for Yahuwah to come and get us. But when Yahuwah tells you to flee, but you say, I'm waiting, that seems like disobedience to me, right? Because the scriptures are obviously there. We're obviously going into the wilderness. Now, the question is, what is the wilderness? And let's look at this. All right, let's see here. Oh, I think I froze. Did I freeze? Can y'all hear me? Hold on. All right, there we go. All right, y'all can hear me, right? Give me a one if y'all can hear me. I think it froze for a second. Give me a one if y'all okay. Okay. All right. We got a one. All right. All right. So this is Exodus 15, 22 to 24. Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went into the desert of Shur. For 3 days they traveled in the desert without finding water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink its water because it was bitter. That is why the place is called Marah. So the people grumbled against Moses, saying, what are we to drink? See, this is the wilderness. This is what you're going to have to expect in the wilderness. And some people have a problem with obeying the scriptures because they know that the wilderness is going to be rough, right? Exodus 17, 1 to 3. The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as Yahuwah commanded. They camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses and said, give us water to drink. Moses replied, why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put Yahuwah to the test? But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock to die of thirst? The wilderness is a period of trials and tribulations. It is a period of testing and proving and refining by the Most High. Don't expect you to be living in, luxury like in Babylon initially. Don't expect that. The Most High has to get the impurities out of us. That fire going to be heated up to burn up out the impurities. But you know, some people don't want to listen. Some people are rebellious. Let's look at this right quick. Joshua 75. Y'all can see that. At that time, in the 180th year of the Israelites going down into Egypt, there went forth from Egypt valiant men, 30,000 on foot, from the children of Israel, who were all of the tribe of Joseph, of the children of Ephraim, the son of Joseph. For they said the period was completed, which Yahuwah had appointed to the children of Israel in the times of old, which he had spoken to Abraham. And these men girded themselves, and they put each man his sword at his side, and every man his armor upon him, and they trusted to their strength. And they went out together from Egypt with a mighty hand. But they brought no provision for the road, only silver and gold. Not even bread for that day did they bring in their hands, for they thought of getting their provision for pay from the Philistines. And if not, they would take it by force. So they left Egypt. They didn't know where they were going, because Moses was the one leading everybody. So they got their guns, their weaponry, their armor, you know what I'm saying? They're like, let's go out here first. Let's get the heck out of Dodge early. All right. And I know what some of y'all gonna say, well, see, that's why I'm waiting on the Most High. I'm not leaving. I'm not fleeing. Okay, we're gonna talk about that in a sec too. All right. And these men were very mighty and valiant men. One man could pursue 1,000, and two could rout 10,000. So they trusted to their strength and went together as they were. And they directed their course toward the land of Gad, and they went down and found the shepherds of Gad feeding the cattle of the children of Gad. And they said to the shepherds, give us some of the sheep for pay, that we may eat, for we are hungry. For we have eaten no bread this day. And the shepherds said, are they our sheep or cattle, that we should give them to you for pay? So the children of Ephraim approached to take them by force. We hungry, right? So you don't want to take the money? Here, take this money. We're going to force it on you. We're going to take your cattle, all right? And the shepherds of Gad shouted over them that their cry was heard at a distance. So all the children of Gad went out to them. And when the children of Gad saw the evil doings of the children of Ephraim, they returned and assembled the men of Gad, and they put on each man his armor and came forward to the children of Ephraim for battle. And they engaged with them in the valley of Gad, and the battle was severe, and they smote from each other a great many on that day. And on the second day, the children of Gad sent to all the cities of the Philistines that they should come to their help, saying, come up unto us and help us, that we may smite the children of Ephraim, who have come forth from Egypt to take our cattle and to fight against us without cause. Now the souls of the children of Ephraim were exhausted with hunger and thirst, for they had eaten no bread for 3 days. And 40,000 men went forth from the city of the Philistines to the assistance of the men of Gad. And these men were engaged in battle with the children of Ephraim, and Yahuwah delivered the children of Ephraim into the hands of the Philistines. And they smote all of the children of Ephraim, all who had gone forth from Egypt. None were remaining but 10 men who had run away from the engagement. For this evil was from Yahuwah against the children of Ephraim, for they transgressed the word of Yahuwah in going forth from Egypt before the period had arrived, which Yahuwah in the days of old had appointed to Israel. All right, so they left before the appointed time. Why? Because they were led by Moses. And of the Philistines also there fell a great many, about 20,000 men, and their brethren carried them and buried them in their cities. And the slain of the children of Ephraim remained forsaken in the valley of Gad for many days and years, and were not brought to burial, and the valley was filled with men's bones. The men who had escaped from the battle came to Egypt and told all the children of Israel all that had befallen them. And their father Ephraim mourned over them for many days, and his brethren came to console him. And he came unto his wife, and she bare a son, and he called his name Beriah, for she was unfortunate in his house. So the question people are going to say, well, Jacoba, you said that we're going to have to flee. Yeah, we're going to have to flee. And there are signs that show we're going to flee. In my opinion, there is no Moses figure for this second Exodus. And if you look at the scriptures, fleeing Babylon is before the second Exodus. Oh, yeah. If you look at the timing of Isaiah 60, Isaiah 11, Deuteronomy 30, things like that, that fleeing Babylon has to happen first because she has to be judged first. As I said, they're going to push you out, but you're going to have people who rebel, who claim to know the Most High. All right, so let's go back to this, Numbers 22-5. Now there was no water for the community, and the people gathered in opposition to Moses and Aaron. So even with Moses and Aaron, as they left, they had problems. No water. They quarreled with Moses and said, if only we had died when our brothers fell dead before Yahuwah. Why did you bring Yahuwah's community into this wilderness that we and our livestock should die here? Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to this terrible place? It has no grain or figs, grapevines or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink. So what do we see here? Problems. This is what you expect in the wilderness, is problems. So some people refuse to leave. Some people left early. Okay? Some people left early and some people refuse to leave. How I know? Jasher 80, verses 36-39. And Yahuwah sent darkness upon Egypt, that the whole land of Egypt and Pathros became dark for 3 days, so that a man could not see his hand when he lifted it to his mouth. At that time died many of the people of Israel who had what? Rebelled against Yahuwah, and who would not hearken or listen to Moses and Aaron, and believed not in them that Yahuwah had sent them. And who had said, we will not go forth from Egypt, lest we perish with hunger in a desolate wilderness, and who would not hearken or listen to the voice of Moses. So some people say, some people left early, and some people say, well, we're not leaving because we're not going in the wilderness. Does that not sound like a lot of you all? I mean, the ones who, don't pay attention to the word of Yahuwah that says flee. And Yahuwah plagued them in the 3 days of darkness, and the Israelites buried them in those days without the Egyptians knowing of them or rejoicing over them. So one group left early. Another group said, we're not leaving. We prefer to stay in slavery because we got a roof over our head. We got food in our bellies. Now, mind you, Egypt was still under judgment. Egypt was under the plagues, but they wanted to stay in Egypt even though the plagues were falling. Sound like a lot of y'all, right? I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to stay right here. This is my land. While the plagues are falling on Babylon. And the Most High says, what? Flee Babylon. Why? So that you will not come under what? Her plagues. But just as we see here in Jasher 80, some of y'all going to do the same thing. I'm not going in the wilderness. I'm not going to Africa. Okay, that's fine. You're going to suffer the plagues. Exodus 16, 2-3. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, if only we had died by Yahuwah's hand in Egypt. If only we stayed in Egypt. It would have been better to die there. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death. The wilderness is going to be a place of testing. It is going to be a place of trials. It's going to be a place of rebellion. It's going to be a place of tribulation. It is going to be a place of heat. It is going to be a place that is going to get the impurities of Babylon out of you. And some of y'all are going to be just like these Israelites. Y'all probably their descendants, right? Who says it would have been better if we died in Egypt because at least we had meat on our plate. While the plagues are falling, mind you, the 3 days of darkness, mind you, the firstborn of every person who did not have the blood over their doorposts dying from plagues, but it's better to stay in Egypt while the plagues fall because at least I got meat on my table. Come on. Come on now. It's sort of the same thing like we see here, right? Today. Well, you know, Trump is removing DEI. Trump has gotten rid of all DEI in the federal government. Trump is also telling other countries, right? France, Britain, European countries, if you're doing business with the U.S., you got to get rid of DEI. Trump is getting rid of birthright citizenship. Trump is saying, okay, remove wokeism, remove CRT, critical race theory, remove all of this stuff, remove the African American History Museum, remove all of the stuff that shows America in a negative light from the Smithsonian, all of the dirt that we've done, remove that from history, remove everything that has to do with Negroes, remove everything that shows that we evil. Don't y'all think the next thing to be removed is the ones they're removing the DEI laws and you know that shows them their history? Are we not history itself? So long as Negroes, descendants of slaves, black folks, African Americans, the true Hebrew Israelites, so long as we're in America, are we not a reminder of slavery? What's the point of getting rid of the African American History Museum? What's the point of removing all of that evil from the Smithsonians when the ones who remind us the most of our evil is still here? Come on now. You think they want you still to be here? Do you think they don't have plans of putting you over in El Salvador? Do you not think that they have plans to put you in Guantanamo? Do you not think that they have plans to like murk you, delete you? Come on now, let's use common sense now, because I know common sense ain't common. The ones who remind them of the evil, the DEI, the critical race theory, the wokeism that they're trying to remove from America, the very people that they've redlined, the very people they pew in the streets, they're going to leave you here as a reminder just so they can remove the history? Come on now, use some common sense. Deuteronomy 8:2-4. Remember how Yahuwah, your Elohim, led you all the way into the wilderness these 40 years to humble and test you. What's the purpose of the wilderness? To humble and test you. Come on now, family. Repeat after me. What's the purpose of the wilderness? To humble and to test you in order to know that what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands. That's what's happening in the wilderness, family. You're going to be humbled and tested. He humbled you, causing you what? To hunger, and then feeding you with manna, which neither you nor your ancestors had known, to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. Your clothes did not wear out, and your feet did not swell during these 40 years. What's the purpose of the wilderness, family? To humble and to test you. Numbers 21:4. They traveled from Mount Hor along the route to the Red Sea to go around Edom, but the people grew impatient on the way. What? The people grew impatient. This taking too long. Can we have some water? Can we have some quail? I'm tired of this angel food. Complaints, complaints, complaints. The longer you complain, or the more you complain, the longer you're going to be in the wilderness. 40 years in the wilderness to be humbled, and they still didn't get to go in. Their children had to go in. To humble and to test you. Some of y'all going to fail. Deuteronomy 1:19. Then, as Yahuwah, your Elohim, commanded us, we set out from Horeb and went toward the hill country of the Amorites through all that vast and dreadful wilderness that you have seen. And so we reached Kadesh Barnea. On your way through the wilderness, you're going to have what? Obstacles and trials. Why? Because you're being humbled and you're being tested. Deuteronomy 8:15. He led you through the vast and dreadful wilderness, that thirsty and waterless land with its venomous snakes and scorpions. He brought you water out of hard rock. So you had to learn faith. You had to learn to trust the Most High. You had to deal with snakes and scorpions in the wilderness and eating angel food. Some of y'all got this romanticized idea of what the wilderness experience is going to be. Numbers 21:6. Then Yahuwah sent venomous snakes among them. They bit the people, and many Israelites died. Oh, yeah, some people going to die in the wilderness. Oh, you didn't know that? Y'all thought it was just a gathering. Y'all thought it was just a second Exodus. Y'all didn't think your faith was going to be tested. Y'all didn't think that you was going to have to walk by faith and not by sight. Y'all didn't think you was going to have to suffer a little bit. I know y'all don't want to hear this. This is a truth ministry. I'm sorry. People don't like the truth. That's why people make up their own doctrine and ignore the scriptures. Well, the Bible don't mean that. Oh, well, you misinterpreted that, Yakoba. Oh, that's not going to happen to us because we're going to be let out of here. Exodus 32:1-35. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses, who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what happened to him." Aaron answered them, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing and bring them to me." So all the people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took what they handed him and made it into an idol cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with a tool. Then they said, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." When Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of the calf and announced, "Tomorrow there will be a festival to Yahuwah." So the next day, the people rose early and sacrificed burnt offerings and presented fellowship offerings. Afterward, they sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. Then Yahuwah said to Moses, "Go down, because your people whom you brought up out of Egypt have become corrupt. They have been quick to turn away from what I commanded them and have made themselves an idol cast in the shape of a calf. They have bowed down to it and sacrificed to it and have said, 'These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt.' I've seen these people, Yahuwah said to Moses, and they are stiff-necked people. Now leave me alone so that my anger may burn against them, that I may destroy them. Then I will make you into a great nation." So once again, the Israelites were tested and they rebelled. So there was rebellion in the camp. The Most High tested them. And they went and made idols and bowed to other gods. And they know that Yahuwah is a jealous Elohim. That's why the Most High say, "Look, I'm going to destroy them, and I'm going to start over with you." But Moses interceded for them, and the Most High didn't destroy them. Y'all know the story. So rebellion is going to happen in the wilderness again. It's going to happen again. Not necessarily this way, Number 16, 1 through 35. Korah, son of Itzar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and certain Reubenites, Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, and On, son of Pelet, became insolent and rose up against Moses. With them were 250 Israelite men, well-known community leaders who had been appointed members of the council. They came as a group to oppose Moses and Aaron and said to them, "You have gone too far. The whole community is holy, every one of them, and Yahuwah is with them. Why then do you set yourselves above Yahuwah's assembly?" Oh yeah, they're going to be coup d'etat attempts in the wilderness. When Moses heard this, he fell face down. Then he said to Korah and all his followers, "In the morning, Yahuwah will show who belongs to him and who is holy, and he will have that person come near him. The man he chooses, he will cause to come near him. You, Korah, and all your followers are to do this. Take censers and tomorrow put burning coals and incense in them before Yahuwah. The man Yahuwah chooses will be the one who is holy. You Levites have gone too far." Y'all know the story. So Korah and them got sucked down in a hole. We're going to have a coup d'etat attempt again. We got the rebels that need to be dealt with. Numbers 21:5. They spoke against Yahuwah and against Moses and said, "Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread, there is no water, and we detest this miserable food." Oh, yes. That's what the wilderness is, to humble you and to test you. Everybody got this romanticized idea of what the wilderness is going to be. Though we're going to be saved from the dragon in the wilderness. Numbers 11:33 to 34. But while the meat was still between their teeth and before it could be consumed, the anger of Yahuwah burned against the people, and he struck them with a severe plague. Therefore, the place was named Kibroth Hatava, because there they buried the people who had craved other food. Uh-oh. Y'all don't think we're going to go through these trials and tribulations? Y'all don't think we're going to be humbled and tested? What was is what will be. There's nothing new under the sun. Numbers 14:28 to 35. So tell them, as surely as I live, declares Yahuwah, I will do to you the very thing I heard you say. In this wilderness, your bodies will fall. Every one of you 20 years old or more who was counted in the census and who has grumbled against me, bet not grumble in the wilderness. Not one of you will enter the land I swore with uplifted hand to make your home, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun. As for your children that you said will be taken as plunder, I will bring them in to enjoy the land you have rejected. Do you want your children to go in again before you? But as for you, your bodies will fall in this wilderness. Your children will be the shepherds here for 40 years, suffering for your unfaithfulness until the last of your bodies lies in the wilderness. For 40 years, 1 year for each of the 40 days you explored the land, you will suffer for your sins and know that it is like what it is like to have me against you. I, Yahuwah, have spoken, and I will surely do these things to this whole wicked community which has banded together against me. They will meet their end in the wilderness. Here they will die. You're going to have a whole bunch of people, just like a lot of these camps, who deny the deity of the Messiah, just like a lot of these camps who doing some shady stuff. I don't even want to talk about it. If you don't know, then that's you. You find out. You got a whole bunch of these camps doing some shady stuff, and they're going to be in that wilderness too. And unless they repent and live holy and get rid of their campism, they're going to be the ones to also be in that wilderness and won't go into the promised land. Don't get it twisted. I know y'all don't like this, but it is what it is. Deuteronomy 2:14. 38 years passed from the time we left Kadesh Barnea until we crossed the Zered Valley. By then, that entire generation of fighting men had perished from the camp, as Yahuwah had sworn to them. Did he not say he's going to purge out the rebels? Come on now. Ezekiel 20:33-38. As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Yahuwah, I will reign over you with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm and with outpoured wrath. I will bring you from the nations and gather you from the countries where you have been scattered, with a mighty hand and outstretched arm and with outpoured wrath. I will bring you into the wilderness of the nations, and there face to face I will execute judgment upon you. As I judge your ancestors, what is that? To humble you and to test you. As I judge your ancestors in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, we're going to go through it again just like they did. So I will judge you, declares Yahuwah. I will take note of you as you pass under my rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. I will what? Purge you of those who revolt and rebel against me. So the Most High going to purge out the rebels in the wilderness. They're going to be tried. They're going to be tested. And some of them are going to die in the wilderness. Just as your ancestors in the wilderness. Just as I judge your ancestors in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so I will judge you. Although I will bring them out of the land where they are living, yet they will not enter the land of Israel. Then you will know that I am Yahuwah. Final scripture. Matthew 4:1-11. Then Yahushua was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, if you are the son of Yahuwah, tell these stones to become bread. Yeshua answered, it is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. If you are the son of Yahuwah, he said, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up into their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. Yahushua answered him, it is also written, do not put Yahuwah, your Elohim, to the test. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. All this I will give you, he said, if you will bow down and worship me. Yahushua said to him, away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship Yahuwah, your Elohim, and serve him only. Then the devil left him, and angels came and attended to him. So just as our ancestors were tested in the wilderness, Yeshua went into the wilderness to be tested or tempted of the devil. Once again, as our people who were in the wilderness were tested by food or the lack thereof, right? So Yeshua was tested by food or the lack thereof, right? Just as our people in the wilderness, right, was tempted by the devil to worship the golden calf, Yeshua was tested to worship Satan, to bow down to Satan. But the answer is to give Satan the word of Yahuwah. For it is written, worship Yahuwah, your Elohim, and serve him only. You want to know how to survive the wilderness? Yeshua shows you right here. Instead of being in the wilderness for 40 years, it was 40 days. You're going to be tested. You're going to be wanting some angel food after all of this stuff. Don't think it's going to be all rose-colored glasses. It's the same thing to test and to humble you. This is the purpose of the wilderness experience, to humble you and to test you. Why? Because he had to get Egypt out of our ancestors, he has to get Babylon out of us. Some of you all have false doctrine. Some of you all got Mormon doctrine. Some of you all doing crazy alphabet stuff. Some of you all are whoremongers. Some of you are 304s. And I'm not pointing fingers at no particular people. I'm just saying all of that Babylonian stuff got to go. Yes, we're going to be safe from the dragon in the wilderness, but we're going to be tried. It's going to get hot. Y'all going to be like, how come these people don't have no good roads? How come they don't have toilets in this house? How come their electricity keep going out? How come I can't get constant food? How come the water dirty? How come I can't get a job? How come I can't sustain myself? How come we got all these crooks on the continent? I'm just trying to buy land and my own people stealing from me. Oh yeah. All of those people gonna still be there and tried and judged and die in the wilderness. That's what you should be expecting. Don't get it twisted. It ain't this glorified idea like they make it in Hollywood. Ain't gonna be no trials and tribulations. No Pharaoh gonna be coming against you again. Just as Pharaoh came up behind our ancestors up against the sea. It was the Sea of Reeds. Y'all think it's the Red Sea, but it was the Yamsuf. But anyway. Just as Pharaoh came up against our ancestors, and they're going to be like, how do we get out of here? They're going to try it again. When we're leaving Babylon, they're going to try again. They're going to be like, oh, they think they're going back to Africa? Yeah, let's let them get in. Let's let them get in the ships. Let's let them get in the boats. Let's let them get in the planes. And when they're all together, we're going to take them out. That's the plan. Don't get it twisted. That's the plan. That's why the Bible says when the dragon comes after us, the earth opens up its mouth and swallows that water that comes from the dragon. Oh, that's the plan. What Trump and the Republicans are doing and the right-wing Christians are doing is the plan. They plan to take us out. Can't you figure that out? Don't you see that? Let me take a poll right quick before I end this. Give me a yes or no, family. Do you not see the plan of this administration is to take us out? Yes or no? I'm just curious personally. And if that's the case, how are you going to stay here? I mean, the ICE is pulling people over dressed in outfits with their face covered, no badge, no ID, and grabbing people and putting them somewhere. There's no rule of law no more. That's why them Gentiles are protesting on the 5th. Why? Because they're getting affected too. That's why I say you best have your passport, at least. You may not be able to get out of here. You may not have the money. You may not be able to fly out. And that's most of us. But when it's time to go, you want to be ready. All of the people and all of the gaslighting is going to increase. What y'all scared of? Trump is just trying to fix America and make it great again. No, Trump is trying to fix America and make it white again. As a matter of fact, say something wrong about this administration and go to the airport and try to leave the country and come back and see if they don't read your mail. See if they don't read your text messages. And see, even if though you're a citizen, you allowed back in here. There's a danger that we all could end up in Guantanamo. There's a danger that we can end up in El Salvador. Why? Because these people have taken over. Don't get it twisted. There's no rule of law. These people are trying to get judges kicked out of power. If the judges rule against this administration, they're trying to get them kicked out. And you think you're going to be able to stay here? Make it make sense. You ain't going to have no job. You're going to be like Tommy. You ain't got no job. And personally, like I say, my opinion, eat the meat, spit out the bone. You best be ready real soon, because I don't think we got a lot of time. This thing is moving way too fast. And this whole Insurrection Act that he's potentially going to sign, I hope y'all know about that, right? Give me one of you know about the Insurrection Act of 1807 that he's talking about implementing. The same thing they used against the Japanese during World War II. When that Insurrection Act is signed, and if it's signed, you in trouble. I told you I ain't trying to scare you, but you need to do some research. Stop listening to the people who gaslighting you. Google is your friend. Google is your friend. Go look up the Insurrection Act of 1807. Because they're going to be rounding up people now. They say they're going to be dealing with people at the borders. They say they're going to be dealing with the people at the borders. Pretty much it's just martial law. That's what it is. But how are they going to just be dealing with people? Because they tell you it's just going to be the people at the borders. They tell you it's just going to be the Venezuelans. But like right now, they're grabbing Canadians. I mean, pure white-blooded, European-style Canadians. Putting them in detention. You think you got a chance? They're putting Germans, pure white-blooded European Germans, in detention. Until they prove who they are, or they can validate their visa. And you think you're going to stay here? When you know that they're targeting us, the whole reason all of this is happening is to have a pretext to come against us. Don't get it twisted. That's why people like, we know what y'all want to do. We know about the April 5th protest. Y'all want us to go out there and protest so that they could pew-pew us in the streets. Y'all want us to be the face and take the pew-pews. Our people get it. We're not stupid. But the Bible said they're going to look for our guilt, our sin, the reason to accuse us before the Most High, and they're not going to find any. Why? Because the Most High say, I have forgiven their sins. And that's why I say, based upon all of the prophecies that the Bible talks about concerning Babylon, concerning the end times, concerning the fall of this nation called Babylon, it is here. I don't know what else to tell you. Then you got AI that's going to replace your jobs. You got the smart cities that's coming, but you're going to stay here. Make it make sense. You got the robots who come in that's going to be your housemaids. They're going to be spying on you in your smart cities. Going to replace your jobs, every single job. And the only way you're going to be able to survive is to be on universal basic income. Can we say welfare? The only place where you're going to be able to thrive is on the continent. Probably of all the places on the planet that you're going to have opportunity to survive and thrive is on the continent. Because you got people like Ibrahim Traore, which I believe is a man of Yahuwah. Some of our people be quick to call Ibrahim a Hamite. He's no Hamite. He's an Israelite. He's part of those Yahudim that is part of the Lamnim. Y'all know that. We taught about that. Lamnim. If you don't know what Lamnim is, go Google it. It was people by Jews. So, fam, as I said in the beginning, Minister Teo book coming out. So when it comes out, please support him. It's about your history and what happened. It's about all of this stuff that they lied to you about. They knew we were the Israelites. That's the title. They knew we were the Israelites. Ain't no doubt. And they know today. I was watching a clip from one of the Jedi. What was it? It's the one that's on Disney Plus. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a Star Wars movie. And the Inquisitors were coming for the Jedi. Since you know the history now, you know we the people, you could see the obvious parallel to the Inquisition and the Inquisitors coming for the Jedi, and Jedi means Jews. We're back in those days. I'm just going to let you know. It may not be so much a religious thing this time, but, that same oppression is the plan for us. The Inquisitors are coming for the Jedi. The Inquisitors are going to say, "Can I see your papers, please?" Just like during World War II. How do I know you're a citizen? Well, here's my driver's license. That's not proof of citizenship. Where's your passport? Where's your birth certificate? Which most people don't carry on. I'm telling you right now, if you don't have your passport and you're not carrying it with you, you better do it. I guarantee you they're going to start grabbing some of you all off the street. And you're going to say, "I'm an American citizen." And they're going to say, "Prove it." And you're going to give them your driver's license. And they're going to say, "That's not proof." And they're going to say, "We're going to hold you in a cell until we prove that you are a citizen." And they'll keep you in there for a week or two. Don't get it twisted. We're in some troubling times. Don't let people gaslight you. They're going to tell you, "Well, you're Cobra teaching fear doctrine." Okay, fine. You believe that. Don't come and bother me. Don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say I didn't tell you to prepare. Because why? Because I know normalcy bias is an issue. I understand this. It's hard to understand that you are living in Revelation chapter 12 and Revelation chapter 13. I understand that it's hard for you to believe that you are living in prophetic times. I understand that it is hard for you to believe that you're living in Jeremiah 50 and 51. Why? Because of normalcy bias. This is all I know. I can't deal with anything else. Why? It's too much for me. How many times I've heard that? A lot of people don't want to hear what I got to say because it's not nice. Family members don't want to hear what I got to say because it causes them stress. But guess what? Those times are here, ain't it? All I got to say, family, pray for this ministry. Pray for the body of Yahuwah, the body of Yeshua around the world. Pray that the Most High protect us and keep us and bless us. And if you want to support this ministry, you can by becoming a patron. You could give Cash App, $TOTW7101. You can go to tailministries.com and go to the donations tab, and there's other options for giving. Ain't going to be much of that left coming up, in my opinion. They're about to shut this thing down. That's just my opinion. I mean, look, take it for what you will. I'm just saying be prepared. Because we in the end game. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right. We're going to find out who's right. Like I say, don't send me no text. Don't send me no comments. Tell me I disagree with you on the flea doctrine. I disagree with you. That's flea doctrine. I disagree with you. This and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Do your own research. Believe what you want. Y'all about to find out. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Love you with the love of the Messiah.